Oh, hi. Andy Ihnatko, internationally beloved technology columnist here. Still in the bath. Fingers getting quite pruny and winkly, as you can see. But valiantly soldiering on, because my suffering is the gateway to your greater understanding of this insane world of technology that we live in. So anyway, I guess I'll tell you a little bit about the keynote. This is the year that I really came to appreciate that Steve Jobs is the Britney Spears of the Mac community. There is absolutely nothing he can do that is so trivial or so insane that we will not continue to find it endlessly fascinating. The way that, one of the many ways in which Steve Jobs is better than Britney Spears is that when Steve Jobs does flashy and insane things, at least we get shiny new devices that help us to watch underdog cartoons on them. Whereas Britney Spears just makes us a little bit sad. Are you sad about Britney? Not sad for Britney. I'm just sad about Britney. But that's neither here nor there. There was very little Britney coverage inside the keynote. The keynote, which was in the keynote, was all about media. Now, obviously, the flashy news that came out of the keynote was the brand new MacBook, the MacBook Air. The idea is to make a computer as thin as possible. I think that Steve Jobs' ultimate goal is to eventually get it so slim that we're no longer talking of it in terms of fractions of an inch, but in terms of mils, just like a garbage bag is sold. Surely there's going to be a point at which it's going to get so thin that it's barely usable. We will be able to see through the screen to the backdrop behind it, and that's going to be endlessly distracting. Also, you have to figure that at some point it's hard to make batteries that are molecularly thin, because electrons, they don't like to stay where they're put, and if you really start to compress them that way, they'll start bailing out of that thing. And where they're going to wind up on a laptop? That's right, your lap. You don't want electrons on your lap. It sounds great. You might have seen that YouTube video in which that college kid did it and thought, ooh, isn't that awesome? But he's a college kid. You know, what is he using his lap for anyway? No productive uses. Exactly. I did have my briefing. I did get to ask a bunch of questions about the MacBook Air. I will save that for a later video because I'm going to be getting one in about a week or so to test out, so I'll be able to say something a little bit more substantive. But the really important thing about the keynote wasn't about, I thought, the MacBook Air. Apple is really making finally their aggressive push in saying that if you are trying to get into the digital media distribution business, we're telling you to get out now. Grab your kids, get out of the water, close the beaches, because this is our turf. If you want to get in here, we got harpoons. Okay, we got undersea torpedoes. We don't like company, because we want to own this business. All you got to do is take a look at the Apple TV. I'm not even talking about video rentals, which is a good thing. I already rented Ratatouille for my flight home tomorrow. But the idea of the Apple TV being a totally self-contained device that gives you a complete solution to acquiring and enjoying digital media in the living room, I don't think there's been another device that has done this quite so well. Most devices, including the previous iteration of the Apple TV, had a lot of the individual parts of this. Only the current iteration of Apple TV has everything. It will independently, without needing to be linked to any other computer or any other library, it will grab podcasts, it will grab video podcasts, it will grab pictures, not just from Apple's own proprietary service, which almost nobody uses, but the Flickr service, which just about everybody uses. Sidebar, boy, Flickr is starting to become the Apple of photos. I love it because every time I was on the show floor and I saw a product that in some way, either in a major way or a minor way, incorporated photos, there had to be support for Flickr. Picasso, yes, we've heard of it. Yes, it's out there. If you work on Picasso, good for you. I'm sure you work really hard on it, but your work is completely irrelevant because it's all about the Flickr. End of sidebar. Better than that is the ability to simply spontaneously buy music and buy movies and rent movies off the iTunes store. This is really the feature that finally brings digital media. It makes it absolutely not special in the very tiniest least. there's still something a little bit special about consuming most of your media digitally, because there's either conversion process or a management process or some point at which, at least for maybe a day, you had to think about how you're going to be getting this stuff and how you're going to be managing this stuff. With the Apple TV, it's no more complicated than a DVD player. You buy it, you plug it into your TV set, you pick up the remote, and suddenly you have access to a huge library of content. On top of everything else, it really elevates self-published electronic content to a whole new level. I enjoy doing these YouTube videos because you get to see me in wet T-shirt mode, drinking in, ladies. That didn't work. I knew it was going to work. And when I first started posting YouTube videos, I got a lot of emails about people who wanted me to turn this into a video podcast. And I didn't know if people were actually interested in that sort of thing, because I subscribe to very few video podcasts myself. But then I saw how good a lot of these podcasts are, especially the ones that are in HD. And now that we have tools like Apple TV, where I can have parity practically with any network or cable television show. Even network news shows are being smart enough to convert to rebroadcast their news shows as video podcasts. So it is exciting, not just for me personally, but just as someone who likes technology. Oh, that's good stuff. I'm announcing an unofficial co-sponsor, free product placement, Dr. Pepper. Macworld Expo, by the way, unofficial co-sponsor was Purell. If you did not get the standard greeting when you shook someone's hand, which is, "Oh, would you like a squirt of that little bottle that I have in my pocket?" that person was not worth knowing. Anyway, the idea that the Apple TV is going to be here and is going to turn podcasting and video podcasting from something that is still, it's never been difficult, but it's always been a little bit inside, to something that simply everybody does and everybody can access. I really want to know how this will affect the table upon which we all broadcast, because I really don't think that independently produced podcasts and videos will ever achieve the same status as anything produced by a network. Because you know what my budget is on this? You're looking at it, $1.25, because I bought it at a little liquor store on Geary Street. Could have been less. Then actually probably went over budget for this show by that. You're not going to get someone who's going to produce Lost on a podcast budget. And so until you can find someone who's willing to pony up $1 million for an hour's worth of content, and that's cheap for network news, for network content, you're not going to, it's nice to pretend that we're doing things that are important and epoch changing, but until a new wave of professionals gets into the game, that's a pipe dream. But still, there are cracks between and openings and gaps between all this professionally produced content, and a product like Apple TV allows people like me and you to produce something to spackle those gaps. Welcome to the Ihnatko Spackle of the Internet podcast. We are the grout between the massive tiles of NBC and CBS. Actually, there is a little bit of mildew and stuff up there. That's surprising, because the Hotel Miyako just got like a huge facelift. That obviously just a facelift because if they got an ongoing mold problem. I'm probably running show on short on time. Yeah, my battery's starting to fail on me. So I'm just gonna wrap it up here and enjoy the rest of my bath. Holy cats, man! No kidding. My fingers are really pruning up here. But I deserve it. I really do deserve it. It's been a heck of a week, hasn't it, folks? As always, I remain your friend. I remain your pal. If you have any questions, by all means, send them on to me at this email address. Suggestions, comments, that sort of thing. I tend to be pretty unconscious for about 3-4 days, so don't expect anything all that quickly. But other than that, thank you for watching, and enjoy life. I'm picking out a thermos for you. No, not just any thermos will do. Oh.